Hello, Yossi Media, in partnership with the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women, is proud to present a conversation on Black maternal health. Black Maternal Health Week is recognized each year to bring attention and call to action, improving the labor and delivery experience of Black mothers. A healthy pregnancy is best for both mom and baby. Pregnancy and childbirth can put a woman's health at risk. Every pregnancy-related death is tragic, especially because more than 80% of pregnancy-related deaths in the U.S. are preventable. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of maternal death in the U.S., or more simply put, heart disease is the #1 killer of new moms. Cardiovascular disease is a threat to women's heart health during pregnancy and later in life, making it important for women to understand how to care for themselves. Recognizing urgent maternal warning signs, providing timely treatment, and delivering respectful quality care can prevent many pregnancy-related deaths. Guests this evening include award-winning gospel artist and radio personality Erica Campbell, Dr. Karol Watson, attending cardiologist and professor of medicine and cardiology at the David Gaffin School of Medicine at UCLA, Shemellar Davis, the 2023 Go Red for Women survivor. And we want you to stay tuned as Sybil shares some exciting information on the Empowered to Serve Business Accelerator winner, Kanisha Ffriend, the lead doula and founder of Heirloom. And now, here's Sybil.
Hello there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Check In and Check Up for Our Health with our partner, the American Heart Association. As we have been discussing in our What You Need to Know newsletter this week, we are talking about Black Maternal Health Week. And my co-host today is the great, the ever wonderful Erica Campbell. Let me just give you a little bit for those of you who are not familiar with this wonderkind of the music industry. Erica Campbell is a radio host, an American urban contemporary gospel, Christian R&B, and contemporary R&B superstar. In addition to being a multi-Grammy nominated artist, she's taken home an armful of Grammys and Stellar Awards as well. And many of us came to know and love Erica as a member of Mary Mary with her sister Tina. Erica has also taken on her solo career and has since released award-winning albums there as well. Erica, as I have come to know her, is the host of the Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell with comedian Griff the Magnificent and the executive producer TJ. Yes. Erica, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
My pleasure. I'm well. It's been a good day and I was looking forward to this conversation. So I'm glad to be here with you tonight.
I am so excited about you being here. You are a mother of 3. How you do everything you do, but with a college age, and then you got what, grammar school kids,
middle school.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're both in middle school now. My gosh. So let's talk about motherhood for you, because you grew up in a family primarily of women, your mom and your sisters and everything. When you chose to have a family, was there any discussion about what you should look for? Were there any challenges with your friends or your family in their maternities?
No, not in my family. I'd had a best friend who actually had her daughter the same day as I had mine. Crystal was born at 8, hers was at 9, and her pregnancy was very, very problematic. She could only eat literally cottage cheese and crackers. So of course she lost an incredible amount of weight and wasn't as healthy as she needed to be. And so there was a lot of issues, but luckily for her, she was a nurse already. So she knew the questions to ask. I did not. And I was so, into music and working, there'd be times where I'd be on stage because I worked, unfortunately, it's not wise, not suggested, that I worked through 8 months of pregnancy with all 3 babies. So I was on tour and red carpets and planes and doing all those things that probably to my own, demise in some areas. I did suffer from high blood pressure that happened literally walking off a stage. And the doctor said, you are freakishly close to having a heart attack and having a stroke. And so I learned to take care of myself in different ways because, the baby takes all the good stuff. But luckily, there was nothing detrimental, but it was a pretty bumpy road when you continue to work, as many women do. We don't have the pleasure of sitting home for 9 months while we have our babies.
Right.
So learning to take care of yourself it's not common enough language in our communities to take good care of ourselves while we are carrying babies.
That is the message that we are hoping to share with people. You're right on. Was the high blood pressure, was that from your first pregnancy, or did it come later in another?
It came with my son. So I was pretty good with Krista, probably because I was 32. You're young, your you're literally a superhero.
Mhm.
But as I got older, each pregnancy was more and more challenging. And so, the help of a good doctor and then a bunch of women around me who were also having babies. We were sharing our stories. We were speaking up. We were asking questions.
Yeah.
I went to a doctor that was also a homeopathic doctor. So I had that benefit working in my favor as well. No slight to doctors because many of them are great, but some of them just don't ask the right questions. And it's not them, it's us needing to ask the right questions. So
Sure.
I love that we are educating women today.
And we have a wonderful doctor. Dr. Watson is going to join us in a little bit. She is not only a member and a volunteer of the American Heart Association, but that's her business at UCLA is cardiac care and helping us understand what happens, what we should expect, and the questions that should be asked, like you and your friends did during their pregnancies. I've not had the awesome pleasure and honor of delivering, but I am the friend of oftentimes. I've been a coach
Yes.
at one point, that kind of thing. And also as a caregiver, we are there to kind of help our friends as they are going through this and ask the questions they may not be able to answer or ask for themselves. And so that is what we're going to do. Black maternal health. If we talk about this, Erica, and I don't know in your circle if people understand the high death rate of Black and brown women during maternity and childbirth. It's shocking, and it's scary.
Yeah.
And so we want to, and this is Black Maternal Health Week.
Yes.
And we want people to understand the importance of it, and men and women, because you can
Absolutely.
help your partner. You can
Absolutely.
that's why you're their partner, to help in this and to understand and to be able to ask the question, say, well, I saw this on a special, checking in and checking up for your health. Here's something,
And not ignoring,
Exactly.
not just taking a Tylenol, not being okay when you do not feel okay. Even in the hospital, if you do not feel okay, speak up. Your life depends on it. It is so crucial and so serious. And so many of us, unfortunately, are not at hospitals where they are gentle and tender with Black women. That's not
Right.
the country we live in. So
Yeah.
we have to be aware and informed of what's going on with our bodies when we feel, certain types of way, because we spend so much time bypassing our emotions and our feelings because we just have to get the work done. But if we are not well, we cannot get the work done if we're not well. So paying attention is crucial.
And if mama ain't well, and if mama ain't happy, nobody is.
Nobody's happy.
That's right. That's right. The old joke is that men may be the head of the house, but the women are the neck. And so we move and in different directions, and often at the same time to get things done. And if your health is imperiled, then that really will slow everything down, from your business career, from your home life, and everything else. Did you and your mom have discussions about maternity and things to expect during that time?
My mom's old school, so no, she didn't. Every time I asked her, she was like, "Oh, girl, I don't know. We just had the babies and we just kept going." I was like, "You're not helping me at all, lady." She had 9 children and was always taking care of other people. So unfortunately, her health was always secondary. She's blessed to still be here and still be healthy, but she didn't have like this notebook of things and pay attention to this and pay attention to that. It was reading books like What to Expect When You're Expecting, and asking other friends who had babies. And my OBGYN was a man who was very sarcastic. When I would ask him questions, he'd be like, "Oh, no, that's nothing. Oh, don't worry about that." So you get brushed off a lot. And so you're like, "Oh, think maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe it's me." But you know how you feel. And paying attention to that is crucial. So, I mean, I wish I had all these notes from my mom, who had 9 children.
No kidding. Wow.
No.
Bless her heart.
No.
And she's still up doing the darn thing. I
She
absolutely
is.
love that. I absolutely love that. We are going to welcome in the other some of the other ladies who are with us, Erica. And for those of you that are just joining us, this is Check In and Check Up for Your Health with our partner, the American Heart Association. And we are talking about Black Maternal Health Week. This is the time. And my co-host today is the wonderful Erica Campbell. Let us go in and join and ask them to join us. Dr. Karol Watson, Shemellar Davis, and hello, ladies. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you all? And I mean that. How are you?
I'm well.
Very well, thank you.
Good, good. Shemellar, you are an incredible survivor. Let us take a moment and give you your due and hear your story.
Okay, so
At the age of 29, after giving birth to my second son, my blood pressure spiked tremendously. When they did the echocardiogram, they noticed that my heart was enlarged and that my heart function was in heart failure. They called it postpartum cardiomyopathy with hypertension.
48 hours after I just delivered, I felt like I could not hold my head up. My speech was slurring. I felt this sensation all over my body, like my body was on fire. It was very surreal, the moment that I experienced and what I now know was a stroke.
About 3 weeks after that diagnosis, my mother died of congestive heart failure, and I really didn't know what congestive heart failure was. So after she died from congestive heart failure, I let my doctor know. He told me that I probably had the same thing that she had, and during the pregnancy, the baby put a lot of stress on my heart, and I probably had undiagnosed hypertension.
In my 3rd trimester, I was diagnosed with preeclampsia. And I will admit, when that happened, I was devastated because I did everything I thought I could possibly do to put myself in the best situation. I haven't ever experienced high blood pressure. So I was just like, what do you mean? Like, I feel fine.
I want to be around for my boy because that's important to me. After I found out about my condition and the family history, we really changed the way we eat and we changed the way we exercise as well.
I think if it wasn't for my son, sometimes I might have given up. It was so hard to walk again. It was so hard to move again. We kind of like grew up together. Like we learned how to walk at the same time. We learned how to talk at the same time. Every woman wants to take care of everyone around her. She wants to nurture everyone around her. She wants to be the biggest supporter of everyone around her to the point where you exhaust yourself, you give all of yourself, and you don't realize in order to continue to be that person and to help everyone you want to help, you have to be the best person you can be yourself first.
Shemellar, that's an incredible story. That was not the video that we were expecting, but that was you and another young woman by the name of Leslie.
One of our sisters.
Yes. So thank you for sharing your story. Dr. Karol Watson is an AHA, American Heart Association volunteer, an attending cardiologist and professor of medicine cardiology at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA, director of the UCLA Women's Cardiovascular Health Center, the UCLA Barbara Streisand Women's Heart Health Program, co-director of the UCLA Program in Preventive Cardiology, and director of the UCLA Fellowship Program in Cardiovascular Diseases. I got to see your business card because that's got to be like a 5x7.
Yes.
Dr. Watson is a principal investigator for several of the large national institutes of health and a fellow of the American College of Cardiology and a member of the American Heart Association. Thank you so much. And Dr. Watson, thank you for your time. I'm not going to give the old joke, Dr. Watson, I presume, because we know you're here. But I would like for you to talk about cardiovascular disease and how it is the #1 killer of new moms. Can you talk about the connection there?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for doing this show and raising awareness, because this is what a lot of people just don't know. In this country, the maternal mortality rate is astronomically high. If you look at a list of all the countries in the world, we're down around some of the poorest countries in Africa for maternal mortality.
Wow.
And most of that is driven by Black maternal mortality. Black mothers are dying, and that's what we have to put a stop to. And the story that you shared, Shemellar, was so touching, because that's exactly what it is. The happiest time of your life.
Right.
You're not expecting anything to go wrong, but then boom, this hits you. And it's a wake-up call for all of us. Because just like you were saying, Ms. Campbell, they don't tell us what to look for. It's like, and honestly, I love my male colleagues, but the number of male colleagues who have said things to me that I absolutely know. I've had 4 kids. I know that's wrong. So, yeah, we just have to raise awareness. And I forget who said it. We have such good intuition, women. We know when something's not right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Don't let them tell you you're wrong. You know
Absolutely.
what's right with you.
And it's great to have you as that voice of experience and knowledge to reinforce what women are feeling intuitively.
Absolutely. Women are so wise. I'm so impressed all the time. Like, we know what's what. And I'm sure your mother could give us 1,000,001 lessons there, because of 9 babies. She probably has a ton of information. But these are things
Absolutely.
you don't learn in medical school even. And it's
Absolutely.
just now becoming part of everyone's consciousness. Black maternal mortality is absolutely devastating. And I'm sorry, can I take a quick second to share my story of when
Absolutely.
I was pregnant?
Yes.
I was a doctor. I knew what was going on. This was going to be easy. It was going to be fine. I ended up on bed rest for 2 of my 3 pregnancies. And I ended up in the hospital one. I mean, I didn't understand, like, I'm supposed to know what to do and what's going on. It's not supposed to happen. And then I realized it doesn't matter. Erica, you have all the education, information, and money in the world, and this, you are having problems, and we're all at risk, and especially us as Black mothers.
Yeah, women of color, oftentimes, as we've talked about in our partnership with the American Heart, are 3 to 4 times more likely to to be a victim of something heart related. And even in our conversations about CPR, women outside, Black and brown women outside of a hospital are 3 to 4 times more likely not to receive cardiac resuscitation outside of a hospital. They fall out on the street because we are not knowledgeable in the practice of CPR. I'm just throwing that in there because this is what we're about this year. But Dr. Watson, can you talk about some of the things that women should know before, during, and after? Some tips that you could give us.
That's a great question. So before, the most important thing is to get all your ducks in a row. Make sure everybody knows I'm probably not eating quite right. I probably should exercise more. Maybe I should get those all together before you get pregnant. It's easier to say than to do sometimes, but if you can, make sure you've had your blood pressure checked, your blood glucose checked, your cholesterol, you're exercising, you're watching your weight. Make sure before. And then during pregnancy, pay attention to everything. You will know, because you are smart women, what's not right. Something doesn't feel right. And believe me, pregnancy is kind of crazy. Everything doesn't feel right, but like something's wrong. And I know that. And I had preterm labor, and they kept telling me it's Braxton Hicks. And I was like, nah, something's wrong. So women know, pay attention, and then make sure you're following up with your healthcare provider before, during, and after pregnancy. And if there are any pregnancy complications, that's something that needs to be followed up for life, because we call pregnancy a stress test for the heart. Anything you're vulnerable to, it's going to reemerge during pregnancy, and it may go away after pregnancy, but there's a really good chance it will reemerge later in life. So we need to keep watching.
I have a question for Dr. Watson.
Please. Yes.
There are a lot of young girls who get pregnant. They're not in a stable relationship. It's just kind of an oops.
Yeah.
They already don't have insurance. What can be said or done to at least educate these young girls in taking care of their bodies? You feel a little invincible when you're young. They go through their pregnancies doing everything they want to do. And I'm talking like teenage pregnancy. And not getting the proper care. And then when something goes wrong, they're trying to catch their tails. How do we educate?
That's a really great question. It's really hard. I mean, I have teenagers. It's hard to get teenagers to think about health at all. I mean, you do feel invincible. One of the tragedies is that many pregnancy complications happen at the real extremes, the young mothers and the older mothers.
Yes.
So they're all at risk. And again, young women, it's hard to get them to pay attention to that. I get it. But we have to try, because they are some of our greatest risks for having adverse outcomes.
Shemellar, let's talk to you. Erica's made a great point about, what we should talk to our daughters, our young women in our lives, teenagers especially. What about you? What did you know about your family history and things that other women before you had gone through, perhaps your mother or an aunt or a grandmother?
I actually didn't know. I'm not going to say I didn't know anything. I didn't know a lot. I didn't find out a lot of information that actually helped me move forward until after my mom passed away, because after they diagnosed me with postpartum cardiomyopathy, I didn't even really understand what that was. I was thinking the word postpartum, so it'll go away, and after the pregnancy it'll go away. And I didn't really know. I didn't even tell my mother that I had postpartum cardiomyopathy, and she was already diagnosed with congestive heart failure. So I didn't connect the two, that they were related. So my mom passed away 3 weeks after I was diagnosed with postpartum cardiomyopathy, because I was diagnosed in the hospital after I had my son. And after she passed away, that's when I started asking questions. And what's so sad is I didn't know. I didn't tell my mother, "Oh, Mom, I have this disorder. This is very similar to your disorder." And we never talked about it. We never made that connection. She never got to meet my son. So we didn't know. I didn't know. And I didn't learn until after she passed away. I started asking questions. I actually was kind of neurotic. I was afraid, because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to pass away from this same thing that my mom had.
Right.
So I started asking questions with my siblings, and we started researching, and we found out that there is a family history that we didn't know about until after my mother had passed away from congestive heart failure.
And Dr. Watson, could that have helped Shemellar before, during her pregnancy, if she had a little bit more information about the cardiac?
It certainly would have been nice to know. There are things we might have done. They probably would have had a little tighter control of your blood pressure. They would have checked you more often, instead of the once every few months, you'd come in every couple of weeks. There's a lot of things we might have done differently.
And Erica, that brings back conversations with your mom and starting conversations with the young women in your family. Right?
Yes, absolutely. But my daughter's 18. She's in college. Certain conversations are just necessary about health and your body and how you feel. I remember finding out that I had hypertension with my son, my second pregnancy, and I had to go like once a week. Now I'm still traveling and doing all the Mary things, so it was really challenging. And I was filming a TV show that I was really excited about. And my doctor said, "Do you want to risk your life for this TV show?" So I had to learn to start saying no to certain things to make my health a priority, because, unfortunately, we believe the narrative that we are super women and we can do it all. And we need to, I'm not every woman. It is not all in me. You know what I mean? I need help. I need to stop. I need to rest.
And you need a little bit more Jesus too.
I'm just saying. Little more Jesus. But you know what? A lot of it is rooted in fear. A lot of our work, a lot of our habits is rooted in fear. If I don't do it, it won't get done. Right. And sometimes take a nap, and I promise you the world will not stop spinning.
I know,
they will still eat. They, the husband or the father may not do the things the way you do, but it will get done. The babies will be okay. Take a rest, take a nap. The job will not disappear just because you take a moment to breathe and make sure you are well.
Shemellar, you're nodding at you as if, we've come to church with Erica, because that's in her business. The family business is that. But you are nodding in agreement with that.
Yes, because that's the way we think. We think that we can take care of everything. We don't want to worry anyone else about how we're feeling. We want to make sure that everyone else is okay. We want to nurture everyone else and take care of everything else instead of ourselves. And I really believe if my mom had confided in me and my siblings, I'm not saying that she still will be alive. I just think things would have been different because I didn't know. My mom never discussed with me her condition. We never knew how serious it was until she had passed away and her cardiologist talked to my older sister about her condition. We never knew because she was strong and she wanted to take care of us and make sure that we were okay instead of herself.
Yeah.
Shemellar, the generations before us they just didn't have those conversations.
No, not at all.
Sickness is looked at as weakness.
Yes.
And so you ignore it. You even go to the doctor less. I was talking to some of my younger friends. I said, if y'all went to the doctor like y'all go on vacation and go to brunch, you'd be a lot healthier. You know what I mean? You make everything else. You make more hair appointments than you do dentist appointments. Like, we got to take better care of our bodies because that speaks volumes to the generations behind us.
That's right.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to tell my story because I was ashamed of having a heart condition so young.
Did it make you feel weak? Was there something?
Yes, it did. It made me feel weak. Even when I found the organization Go Red for Women, I would always wear red on Wear Red Day and talk about my mom. I never shared my story because I felt like I was weak. Yep.
Dr. Watson, is that
so common?
That's not a rare situation,
not at
is
all. Heart disease is a leading cause of death for women, and so many of us are afraid to share, ashamed. There are so many important things that women have to think about. Breast cancer, for instance, very important. We have to think about it. But the risk of a woman dying for heart disease is about 13 times higher than dying from breast cancer. And somehow it's a terrible, tragic condition. I know that. And when we hear of a young woman getting that, we're filled with sympathy.
Right.
Somehow we feel like maybe the woman who got heart disease did something wrong. Maybe I don't know why. She did nothing wrong. It is a terrible, awful condition that strikes very sporadically, and nothing you could have done, Shemellar, could have probably changed that. This is in your genetics, and
yes, you can't escape your genetics.
And thanks, Mom.
Mom also gave her charming personality.
That's right. Yeah, and there you go. You and your siblings, I'm sure. Doctor, we started out talking about what to do before we are going to let Erica go. I just want to talk about what we should be doing and encouraging young women to know before, during, and after the pregnancy.
So before, check in with your healthcare provider and make sure your health is in the optimal shape to begin a pregnancy. Then during pregnancy, you're going to get regular checks and make sure you follow everything that the provider says. And then after pregnancy, make sure you share your entire pregnancy story with whoever's taking care of you, because they need to know that. Like I said, so many things that happen during pregnancy and then go away. You're like, oh, phew, dodged a bullet. That's gone. But it's not, because it can reemerge later in life. And if your healthcare provider doesn't know, they won't be looking for that.
And one thing that Erica said that struck me, doctor, was that her doctor was a bit of a cynic, or he didn't take her concerns and questions as seriously as she might have liked. What's your best advice if you don't feel comfortable? And I think this is whether it's your OBGYN or some other specialty. What's your best advice for that situation?
100%. It's an alliance between you and your healthcare provider. There has to be trust. There has to be camaraderie. You have to get along. If it's not right, it's time to find another one. Because again, this is your health.
That's hard if it's been a family doctor. I've been with my OBGYN since I was 19 and I
Mm-hmm.
had my babies with 32. So of
I
course
I
I
have seen
trusted him
people
and
exactly stay
yeah.
with doctors that they knew weren't best for them because they were so nice or because
Mhm.
you'd been with them so long. But this is a matter of life and death.
Life and death.
And before I said we're not going to have Erica for very long, but I do want to ask because as Shemellar has pointed out, the necessity for finding out that family history. How do we start talking about this?
That's a really good question because I know you all know sitting around the Thanksgiving table,
Right?
they all talk about, oh, remember Uncle Joe? He died of heartburn. Like no one dies of heartburn. That was a heart
Right.
attack. And they, oh yeah, grandma just fell out. Like they don't really honestly
Right.
know half the time. But getting
Sugar is the only thing they'll talk about, and they don't even properly say diabetes. You know,
Right.
she has sugar.
sometimes when they talk about sugar, they talk about how they manage it, and it's not particularly well managed.
Absolutely.
Right.
Or preventative with diet and exercise, or realizing that we know we've been eating this our whole life, but we need to take the fat back out of the greens and just
Right.
how about just the greens be greens and you don't put meat in it? That's an option too. You don't need a whole stick of butter. Like we need to really change some things, and they are literally legacy bad habits that have happened
Legacy.
because
Yeah,
mama and
generational.
auntie. And then you know,
Exactly.
Thanksgiving
And
is a
when-
competition. Whose food is the best?
Who
Sometimes
makes the best and the sweetest sweet potato pie?
And when you think about it, our ancestors, they died so young, so
They
many of
did.
them. They weren't thinking about what's going to happen to me when I'm 70. They were thinking about, I can barely make it through the week and I need to
Yikes.
make sure I get food on the table. And so it's hard to worry about what you're eating when you're worrying about whether you're eating.
Wow, that's powerful. Erica, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for your questions. And before you leave, is there anything you want to leave us with or a question you'd like to ask that may not have crossed our minds at this point?
No, I just love the conversation of paying attention to your body and speaking up, and families talking to one another, finding out what's in your family history. It's harder when you have a smaller family and,
That's right.
maybe you don't, maybe you're adopted and you don't know your family. It makes it harder, but have a good relationship with your doctor so you can pay attention to your body and live healthy, not just live, but live as healthy as possible.
Please listen to my friend Erica Campbell. She is a radio star. She gets us up in the morning. Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell. Check her out. And you may not have to get up as early as Erica does. I'm thinking like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
But do check out Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell and the amazing Griff and TJ. Erica, it is a pleasure working with you every week, and I thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, and I would love to come back anytime you'd have me.
Thank you, darling.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye,
I'll
ladies.
take you up on that now.
Absolutely.
Okay, now go pick up your baby from school. Take care. Ladies, thank you so much for sticking with us. Doctor, we are going to, and Shemellar, we're going to be joined by Kanisha Ffriend. Kanisha is a former public school educator and full spectrum doula. She currently works as a labor and delivery nurse in Boston, Massachusetts, while pursuing her advanced nursing degree in women's gender-related and adult health at Massachusetts General Hospital Institute of Health Professions. Once again, a very large business card, Kanisha, I'm assuming. Her passion for improving health outcomes for marginalized and at-risk mothers bloomed at Syracuse University, which led her to launching mybumpteam.com, a digital platform that makes it easier for maternal health providers to manage their businesses and stress-free for parents to manage their pregnancy to postpartum experience. And as if that wasn't enough, Kanisha is also the first place finalist in the American Heart Association's Empowered to Serve Business Accelerator, which supports entrepreneurs addressing health disparities through training and grant funding. So let me take a breath and congratulate you on all your work. I do want to know, can you explain to people, and we're going to talk about your work and what your business is, but can you explain to people what a doula is and a doula spectrum and the doula spectrum?
Sure. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
So a doula is a support person. Their primary focus is on emotional and physical support. So they're not clinical providers, and this often gets confused with a midwife.
Mm.
So when we're thinking of a doula, if you're having birth inside of a hospital, this would be the person that comes in may do position changes with you, right? To really help bring baby down the birth canal. Or perhaps if you are struggling during pregnancy for nausea or any other ailment, they kind of have like a tool belt of different remedies, that homeopathic remedies to kind of help you get you through pregnancy safely. They also advocate for you in the hospital. So I know we were talking about like Black maternal health, and one of the critical issues that we face is there's bias and neglect, right? Especially surrounding pain. So a doula is really helpful in that respect, where they advocate for you, make sure that you have a witness to what is happening, especially when you're in pain and you're focusing on something else, right? Like giving birth. So full spectrum doula is basically, I am certified to support from pregnancy, during labor, and then also postpartum.
Awesome. I think that and correct me if I'm wrong, but having been in the hospital with a friend recently, I think that is an amazing offering that women can take and accept, especially in this era of nurse shortages. Having someone be your advocate and who is there for you when the nurses are doing their jobs at 14, 15 other rooms just on one wing. And so that would seem to be a very important role that you play.
For sure. I think, it was very hard, that transition from going from a doula to becoming a labor and delivery nurse. Primarily, I worked in home births. So the idea that I'm coming and I'm reflecting on constantly is that being pregnant, giving birth is not a disease. It's not a pathology. And when you're thinking about how we approach it in the hospital setting, it's like, okay, we have to fix you. There's this urgency. There's this sense of like, we have to make sure this does not happen for much longer. Whereas as a doula and in a home birth, it's all about patience. It's like you are the owner of your space, and we are here to just help facilitate you in this transition.
And bring in the joy into
bring in
the
the
world.
joy. Yeah. So it's definitely a back and forth there. But I think that's really helpful when you have a doula in that sense, because it's a constant reminder to both the nurses, right? Because they're also like, they're here for you, but they also have a different agenda. They have to make sure that you are safe and that this is their priority clinically. But I think having an extra support person just helps center everything.
Dr. Watson, does that make sense to you?
It makes so much sense. And I know some hospitals in our area are actually talking about starting programs where they actually offer for every woman a doula in addition to their medical team. I think that makes so much sense, because there are different things. Obviously, everyone's got a purpose and a role. But as the doctor, my role is not to make sure you're in the right position on your side to help the baby down.
Or to walk her down the hall.
My role is to make sure you stay alive, and I'm going to do that. But you are going to make sure that she stays well.
That's a great position to have. I so admire people who do that. Good on you. Kanisha, will you share with us what your business is and what is the Empower to Serve Business Accelerator?
Sure. So just a little bit of a backstory. So I started off when I trained as a doula, it was about 3 months before the pandemic shut down. And so doulas were not allowed in the hospitals anymore. And so this really shifted the way that I looked at birth, where it was, at first it was, I have to be present in order to give this prenatal education. I have to be present during the postpartum period. And really what I found out is that when we took that step back, though forcefully, it was parents really just wanted the knowledge so they can advocate for themselves. And so I started creating like different online content, different videos, and I would just put up the link on Facebook. And so at the time I was in Houston, and then I had people from all over the United States just log on, gain the information, go back and share it with who they need to share with. And it's a good point to say, we are not gatekeepers, right? Like the knowledge is not good if it's only for one person.
Right.
So I kind of consider that my beta testing period, where it was, okay, so parents really want the information. They want it on demand. They want to be independent, but then they also wanted access to other professionals. So that was one of the hardest parts. It was when you find out you're pregnant, it's, okay, what doctor is available?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, okay, I need to find a doctor who's available, but then I also have this other condition that they are not they're not a specialist in. So they're constantly searching throughout this like pregnant period, that it kind of takes away from the joy. And so what I added on to was, okay, you take one of my classes, you fill out what area you are in, and I have a list of providers available for you. So this worked really well. And so I started submitting this idea of having a website that did this automatically instead of me doing it manually and answering emails.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those pitch competitions was with the American Heart Association. So this was the Empowered to Serve. This was about a 3-month program where I really learned how to create a business out of an idea.
Mm.
I learned with marketing. We have Krista there. She has been so influential in just helping me really get the point of what is necessary, because I think while I had the experience and I had this idea and I had the families, now we have to get people to care about it, especially the people who are giving the money may not be mothers, may not be Black mothers who connect so strongly to the idea.
So who's doing that?
Who's doing which?
You said giving the money. Who would that be? Family?
This last one, but
okay. Okay. All right. So I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's okay. So you just think about a lot of like the investment board, right? When you're going out to investors, a lot of them are white men. A lot of them also don't believe, this was a feedback that I got, is that really happening in America, that Black women are dying 3 to 4 times? It's like, yes. Even with all of our technology, yes. Like, I mean, and you break it down even further, you go down to age. I know we were discussing, teen pregnancies. Oh my goodness. It's abysmal. So yes, it's happening here in America as well. And so with my bump team, what we do is it's two-facing. The first part is parents log on. We use data assessment to figure out their risk factors. And then we are able to aggregate it to say, these are the people that should be on your birth team. Then fill out their area. They're able to do a matching to get their bump team. The other side of it is that providers join the platform and it supports a gig economy. So we know that these providers, pelvic floor therapists, doulas, midwives, that they're valuable to really reducing the poor maternal health rate, right? This mortality and morbidity. But they need to get paid for the work that they do. There's a large conversation about insurance reimbursing them. But the push is give it a livable wage.
Wow. Good luck with that, huh? Like you say, in this gig economy. Shemellar, does that make sense to you?
It does. It makes sense to me. And thinking about that, like all those people on your team checking to see that you're okay, that's amazing.
It really is. And Dr. Watson, everybody can use a little help in that area, right?
Everyone can. Medicine is a team sport.
Wow, I'm a team player too, and I love sports, but all of my teams are losers. But this is a winner right here. You are the first place finalist, and tell people about what we want people to know, that you can apply to be part of the Business Accelerator when the application period opens, and that's May 1st. Entrepreneurs addressing health disparities, as Kanisha is here. You can apply for training and grant funding from May 1st through June 26th. And look what you did. Look what you're doing. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. Really, thank you. We're talking about these health disparities, and Doctor, I'm wondering if people are getting it. I saw this headline in USA Today. It says, it's not safe to be pregnant and Black in America. People aren't receiving the care they deserve. Amid Black Maternal Health Week, experts are raising the alarm on the urgent need for equity. Black women and birthing people are more likely than any other racial or ethnic group in the U.S. to die of pregnancy-related causes. It's 2023. What are we doing, doctor?
It's actually insane. It's actually insane. And our numbers are getting worse, not better. I'm glad finally people are paying attention. So hopefully things will change. But I think, and I couldn't agree more with you, Kanisha, about we over medicalize a lot of things. Obviously, medicine is important, and you need to be in a hospital if you have a pregnancy that's gone south. But there's a lot of things we can do in a non-medical way to make people do better.
Yeah. Ladies, I just want to ask, and because I've not been through this process, as I've said, not given birth, I'm a single woman, an old settler, as they used to call it, but no children, and I am a great auntie, and I'm a good friend. What can we do as not as the mom, but as the auntie, the friend, the cousin, to address the maternal mortality crisis in our country? And any one of you can answer that. We can start with you, Dr. Watson.
I mean, one of the things I've always thought, I don't have data or numbers to back this up, but remember when families used to live in the same household, multi-generational, there was always an auntie or a grandma or somebody around. And I think a lot of wisdom and knowledge got passed down to people through that. So the pregnancy, oh yeah, this is not good. You better go get this checked out better. And I think we've lost a lot of that. And I think one of the things I love to see is when people come in with their own condition, but they bring their mother, their sibling, someone else with them. Because it's, again, we all are here to keep each other well. And
right.
Yeah.
I said that with my mom when she was going through breast cancer, but it doesn't matter what it is.
It doesn't.
We need caregivers. We need someone to be our advocate. And
1,000%.
Yeah. Shemellar, have you discovered that?
Most definitely. I think the problem with our community is that we don't talk to each other, and we don't, like what we're doing right now on this forum. We're talking about Black maternal health. And I just think a lot of people just don't know. And I think if we start telling, our family members and having our family members tell others and sharing our story, being brave enough to share our story and tell, what's going on in our community, because a lot of people do not know. Because once I became an ambassador for the American Heart Association, so many people came to me and was like, I have hypertension. I had this. I have a friend that's a nurse that came to me and told me that, I have hypertension. My dad died from cardiac arrest, and that's in their family. That's something they had never talked about. But I think we just need to start doing more things like this and telling people and, educating people about what's going on in our community. I just think people just do not know.
And once again, Shemellar is preaching to us here, Kanisha, but you're nodding in agreement.
Oh, absolutely. I think there needs to be more conversations, right? I think the other part of it is that we place a lot of emphasis on birth, right? This one day, we're focused up until that point. But data really shows that majority of the childbirth deaths that happen are in the postpartum period, right? When we're thinking about maternal mortality, it's postpartum. And so as the family member, as the aunt, going in and checking, right? Stress for anybody who is not pregnant is just an unfortunate situation. But you add on the burden of being postpartum, of being pregnant and stressed, that just exacerbates every other system in your body. So we have to do a better job of checking in, not just saying, how are you, or how is baby, but really being there physically.
Yeah, I completely agree. We have to remember, you're making a whole new, brand new human being. That's a lot of work. Then you're delivering that whole brand new human being, losing blood, losing everything, and then going home, taking care of that tiny little helpless human being. So it's that 4-week period after childbirth that's the most dangerous for a new mother,
with some new health conditions.
So exactly. So many people, they call it peripartum cardiomyopathy, but the peak incidence is at 4 weeks after birth. So even though you felt fine, you got through it, this is over, boom, it hits. So
Wow. Wow. Ladies, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much. And during this check-in and check-up for your health, we talked, as you can tell, those of you who've been with us this hour, some incredible women, and how we as women need to spread the word about the importance of learning about women's health and caring for our own health. As women who are caregivers and women who are going through this process. And so as the strong women that we are, as those that have learned from other great women, our question of the day, we like to ask a question of the day here on It Sybil. And will each of you share who is a woman that inspires you? Would anyone like to go first?
I'll go.
You go first. Oh, go ahead, Kanisha.
Go ahead, Kanisha.
Mine is very cliche, but I'm gonna have to go with my mom. Like,
I was gonna say that.
I wanted to call out your mom.
I talk to that woman every day now. She's a nurse. She's been a nurse like my entire life. And she's pushed me into it. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then I finally caved and did it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is hard work. Like, so yeah, definitely my mom. She's a hard worker.
God bless her. God bless her. Shemellar?
You know what? I was going to say my mom as well. She passed away in 2006, but she was just an amazing lady. She never complained. I wish she would have talked more to us about, her health condition, but she inspires me because she actually taught me how to be a good mother. She taught me how to make sure that, I was taking care of my children and my family. So I would say my mom as well. I was thinking Michelle Obama because she's such an advocate for healthy families and healthy eating and healthy children. And I think that's something that in our community, we need to make sure that we're doing more of.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's a nice one. We'll put that on and we'll tag her on that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm also going to say my mom. I lost my mom at the beginning of the pandemic, but I talk to her all the time and she talks back, and she left me with a lifetime of love and legacy. So I'm grateful every day for her. The second person I'd like to say is the remarkable Miss Barbara Streisand, because she's been an advocate for women's heart health since the beginning. And I'm so grateful for that, to help get the word out.
That is wonderful. That is absolutely incredible. And calling out the big stars like Michelle Obama and Barbara Streisand. I would like to say that I'm inspired by my executive producer, my best friend, and my business partner, Yolanda Starks-White. And you all have inspired me today. Thank you all so much for being a part of our show and making such an incredible impact on us. We really appreciate it. Every day, we also have what's known as our daily inspiration. This is Yogi's Jewel. We do have a yogi, that is Yolanda, and showing gratitude can transform a relationship. So not only am I inspired by you all, but I am very grateful for your time, your knowledge, and your ability and willingness to share with us. We really appreciate that today. We would like to thank some people who made this show possible. And I'd like to thank my team, Yolanda Starks-White and Chica Dilly, Diana Chica. Okay, we'll just go with that. She doesn't like the other. Also from the American Heart Association, our friend Zach Burgess, Megan Ely, and the Go Red for Women team, and the woman with the biggest heart at the American Heart Association, my friend Arika Kaysen. And we thank you all for joining us today. Any questions? Kanisha, how can people reach out to you?
So by visiting www.mybumpteam.com or at mybumpteam.com on Facebook or Instagram.
Awesome. You are awesome. You all are awesome. Thank you all so much. Shemellar, I'm so glad to see you up and looking so beautiful and vibrant, and you're a great example for life after, and we appreciate that. And Dr. Watson, you are a delight and a real girlfriend. We appreciate that too. Keeping it real for us and keeping us straight with the facts. Thank you all so much for joining us. Please go out there and be good to each other, and let us check in and check up on each other as often as we can. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Aloha.